my natural
hair. We love your natural hair.
It's unique.
I'm so lucky. With the weather now. No, I'm fine. I'm fine. I've been enjoying myself with the weather. You could imagine, you know, with the heat and the express and the air. It's wonderful and great. Where's Pastor Obi? Has he gone?
Yeah, he left yesterday. Yeah.
Look after the wedding.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. But the children remain, right?
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, okay. They're enjoying their holidays.
Yeah. It will soon be over.
When it started, it was as if it would be forever.
I'm telling you. I can't believe it's over.
Time flies, right? Like 2 more weeks, right? Or 3?
I think we'll be going back on Saturday.
Yeah, I mean their holiday.
Yeah, 2 more weeks. 1st September.
Today is 13th. Yeah. 2.5.
Yeah.
And then it starts all over again. Another 9 month stretch, right? Non-stop. Non-stop.
Well,
I'm recording it.
Okay.
So just let.
Hey!
congratulations.
Thank you.
Happy anniversary.
Thank you. This is nice.
Oh, thank you, man.
Yeah. It's something Eastern African, no?
No, it's Kente. It's actually from Ghana. It was just a different color. Usually they have brighter colors, the yellows and the greens, yeah. So it's just a different.
It's a modern kind of attire, yeah.
Thank you, man.
So, how are your kids doing?
They're doing very well. One has got a little thing, but the doctors are saying too bad. Yeah, it's just a tummy thing.
Okay, after all the food yesterday.
Thank you, man.
Awesome. Have your seat. You want to sit here? Okay.
Everyone is still somehow quiet.
I will make them talk. I will make them talk. So let's start with Precious. Ah, yeah. So what can you say about about marriage?
Well, I'm not married yet, though. No, but we're very happy, man, because from experience, we learn a lot. You know, it's always good. It's this modern time where we see couples staying together for this long, because the forces around the world are trying to rip marriages apart. But you're a role model. You're Pastor Sunday. Hectic schedule, but you still stick together. And I remember when Pastor talks about making time for family. That's one thing I've learned, that no matter how hectic my schedule is, definitely I have to make time for my future wife and children, make them first, learn more, then I can, once the family is okay, everything is okay. Yes, man. Thank you so much for your patience, for your calm demeanor has been something that we in the students like so much, and we are hoping our own wives.
Are you translating?
Little.
That's not for now.
Awesome. So, to be more specific, you've mentioned making time for the family.
Yes,
So that's one thing you have, noted, and you will try to make room for that.
Yes,
Any other thing,
Okay.
marriage-wise?
Yes, marriage-wise. How would I say? First of all, I've not really talked much about it, sincerely speaking. But I have discovered that for marriage to work, the couple has to be in sync. Communication has to be first. We are all, most of us are Africans, and we've seen in scenarios where our extended family always want to be, always want to act, always want to make decisions for us. It's something I've learned from my mom, that no matter what's going on in my marriage, I should make sure they don't really know much about it, so that they will not influence it. So I think first of all, communications and trying to put a wall between ourselves and the extended family. That's something I've also learned from about marriage.
Yeah. Yeah, well, you mentioned something that you've not really thought about it, but it doesn't really have to always be about you, because you know you are growing up, and as a leader, you will have people to consult about marriage. So even if you're not thinking much about yourself, it's still very important to be well-rounded when it comes to marriage, because you will have people under you and you will have to counsel them. So that is one thing. And yes, keeping other people away from the marriage is really helpful. Yeah. Although it takes a lot of discipline, because especially when you're passing through issues, you feel like telling everybody, you know, you want that sympathy, you want to get pity from as many as possible people. But once you let the cat out, you know, they'll be asking you, it might be very difficult. So it takes discipline actually to take responsibility for the family, for the trials in the family, knowing who to talk to. Talk only to mentors, talk to experienced people, and people can really help you. And that's really a good factor to consider, judging from where we are coming from.
Yeah. And something that Miles Morrow said that I listened to recently was that most couples, they get married in church in the presence of God, but whenever they have issues, they go out to the presence of God, they go to the streets to ask for marriage counseling. So I believe once a couple have a little friction, it's best to come to, like say, mentor someone in the church, a pastor, than go out, because they will use the words ideology on marriage to counsel you. Then when you're in church, you have to use the kingdom principles to counsel someone. So I believe having a mentor from the church sphere will also benefit.
Yeah, but it also depends on the trial, because sometimes one can really draw strength from what we call secular psychologists. I've never been to one though, yeah, but I know that, I mean, some of them really give good advices, and you might need, I mean, one might need their service, you know, when you are dealing with a violent spouse, you know, yeah, because for so long, you know, in Christianity, a lot of they go through abuse, you know, and that is really derailing, you know, because sometimes we don't even consider separation in Christendom. Well, you know, sometimes you just need the space, you know, to cool down.
Most men don't really show those violent traits at the beginning until,
of course, nobody shows
in between the marriage. Yeah, there are some people who have been living together for a while. They are do not Christians, and there's some violent traits, and they go back because they say the guy can change. Those are factors for you to run, but those ones are there. But when, for example, 15, 5, 7, 8 years later on, and some outburst happens, then you can try to meet somebody who can counsel you before it gets very, very violent.
Yeah, and we should also know that I think everybody is violent. Yeah, just depending on the pressure you are under. You know, the most calm person can be violent. You know, it's just like a hormone running in the body. You know, when if you're pushing an hormone, then we all have the anger buttons. We all have it. So, but the ability to emotionally control yourself, working on yourself. Expressing emotional strength. So actually, anybody can be violent. Yeah, but when somebody is having it rough, and when it's getting to abuse, I think sometimes it's better to give space. Yeah, but hopefully most people will not get there. Yeah. So you mentioned spending time. And you've mentioned trying your best to put away the external factor, right?
And also something I learned about finance is that most times, most men want to control the finance in the house. But if you see that your wife may be a little bit a mathematician or someone who's good at saying no when you are trying to overspend. I think you should let her have the power to manage the budget of the family. I just think you should, before you go into marriage, you should try and know each other's strengths. If he or she, especially if she's more like managerial, she has managerial skills, then you can delegate her, give her the spend, the budget, and still compromise in the family, than you trying to be in charge and destroy the whole finance of the family also.
Yeah, and it's also very important to make enough money.
of course, yeah. Of course.
You know, that will solve a lot of problem, and I mean, that will give a lot of other opportunity. But if the budget is tight, then the pressure is much, and then we start counting every penny, and things like that. Of course, the point you mentioned is also very good, and also planning. You know, planning how to spend the money.
How many children that you know?
No, I'm not even talking about children. Detailed planning of the budget. You know, what, like for example, what percentage goes into this, what percentage goes into this. It's very important. It's sometimes when people just have chaotic, you know, financial lifestyle, it can really complicate issues, complicate things. So having detailed plan on how to spend the money, and yeah, and also you learn from experience, because even when you're planning before the marriage, you can't foresee everything. Yeah, but after every issue, you're able to update your plan, you understand it. So,
another question concerning accounts. Is it your personal or professional opinion for a couple to have a single account or a joint account or separate?
By the time I was married, yeah, it's what I knew was having joint account. Right? So it has its benefits and it has its disadvantages. We in our family, we have joint accounts, but we still have personal money. You know, we have our personal money. So
that means you contribute to the joint account, or you?
Yes, the main, I mean, the big income goes to the joint account. Okay. Yeah, but we still have extras. He has his extras that he controls, and I have my extra that we control. But that also came after some years. You know, when the children were smaller, we needed to be stricter. But now they are grown up. I mean, almost all of them will be going to college, so we don't really have all those unforeseen expenses like we used to have before. Yeah. So it's still joint, but it's, from my experience, it's very important that I am comfortable with money, that I have my money, I have the family money, that I have my money, I have freedom, and he also has his money. Yeah. So we have like constant income. Then we have some extras that, you know, comes unexpectedly. So we are freer with those unexpected finances that come. So maybe, like for example, maybe in the church, you know, somebody just bless me with 200 gravy, you know, I can decide to have ice cream. I don't need to, yeah, I don't need to bring that into the joint, because we weren't planning for it anyway. We didn't plan that anybody will bless me with anything. Yeah, and that gives freedom. You know, if you are saving towards something or you want to bless another person. Yeah. So I don't know what to say. It's like a kind of strict budget, but there should be room. I can't remember what it's called in English. What is it called?
Tolerance.
Yeah, like
access.
Yeah. It's just having extra rooms. It's like you are in a system, but you still have.
You have flexibility.
Yeah, you have flexibilities in some areas, you know. and that gives you freedom. But of course, at the beginning of the marriage, because you are getting to know each other, it's better to have a joint and very joint.
You don't really know each other's spending habits.
Yes. Before then, you go through issues and then you know when to give room to some flexibility. Okay. Yeah, we shift to the newly wedded. Okay. As you were preparing for wedding, for marriage, what have you learned? What can you share with us today?
Yeah, good evening, everybody.
Good evening.
My name is Clement, and this is my wife. Before I say anything, I would want to appreciate everybody for, being part of our wedding ceremony yesterday. And we thank you for your prayers, your support, and everything you did to make our wedding successful. And then I also want to say congratulations to Pastor Bose and Pastor Dere-Adelaja as they celebrate their 23rd wedding anniversary today. And they've been 23 years. It's not easy. I can imagine, 23 years of having a blissful home and impacting the world with what God has placed inside of them. So we really want to say congratulations first of all to you.
Thank you.
And for me today, I would prefer to ask questions than, because learning never ends. So I feel it's an opportunity for us to learn. We just got married. No matter what we already know, learning never ends. So I would prefer to ask questions and maybe just say a few things. But to answer your question, first of all, what we've learned while we're preparing for marriage. First of all, we've learned that marriage is ordained of God, and that for us particularly, before I used to think that, well, you could just go out there and just pick any woman you want to get married to. But looking at my wife, I realized that having a wife is a gift from God. Because at times I said to her, I said, you were packaged from heaven, just for me. Because I see everything I lack, she has it. And everything she lacks, I have. So I realized that marriage is ordained of God, and He is the giver. So He gives the gifts. You're welcome, sir.
Sorry for the late coming. I was looking for my wife.
Yeah, we had when you were shouting.
She was nowhere to be found. I was but she came from church now. Because I see the kids at home. But then, wife, Nemai. It was on the way coming to look for you. I needed to talk to Timmy because that was urgent. Yep.
Okay. Go ahead.
Okay.
Newlywed.
Pastor Sunday just came in. And congratulations to you, Pastor Sunday.
How old is your whole married now? You like to be here? Maybe you go outside. There is no mosquitoes outside. It's much more better than here. It's stuffy. I've been here only 1 minute and it's already very stuffy. Not dying, but
it's actually hot outside.
No, I'm coming from there. Let's go. I'm the head of the family. So. You guys, you come, let's make it.
Okay, I think we're going to make this a program. So I'm going to close this and I'll start a new one. Okay, let me tell. Hello guys, thank you for joining us. It's a great day today. It's Dr. Sunday and Pastor Bose's 23rd anniversary. Yes? Okay. Okay, we're moving outside. I won't stop it, okay.
So we're going to move outside. Dr. Sunday prefers it outside, and so we're moving out. I think we're going to make the 7 p.m. Program. Reflection will be on reflecting on Dr. Sunday and Pastor Buster's 23rd anniversary, and we're really looking forward to the questioning. We have some newlyweds here that wants to ask questions, so they can ask the questions, and other people that wants to congratulate them are free to do so. So we're moving outside, as you can see, some people moving outside. I want them to set up, and then I would also go outside with a camera. But it's been a pleasure. Thank you guys for joining. It's about time, guys. Please share, so that more people can join us and we can have more people learn and be involved in the discussion, as many people as possible. So please stay tuned and join us. It's Dr. Sunday and Pastor Buster's 23rd anniversary today. They've been married for 23 super years. Okay.
Heaven is here. What a good, nice weather. And you, how could you have this and you are sitting inside there suffering? How could you have this and you are sitting outside there suffering? Look at the green nature. Look at the moon, the sun. Look at the sky.
And the mosquitoes.
Look at the blessings of God. How could you be running away from the blessings of God? Enjoy it, enjoy it. Sister, do you agree with me?
Yeah, I do agree.
Oh, you see? You want to be glad, right? Will you take Nam President Nisa? What? But this is short, no, Mr. Yes. Okay, you are the. I think they should be in front. I'm sorry. You have to move beside. Let them come in front. They are the ones I was hearing the story. I have to hear my own part. You have dethroned Queen Anastasia this time. Well, she's not against. She's fine. She's going to be okay. Queen Anastasia is going to be okay. So continue your story. One day old marriage. This is the first day we are celebrating that one today. It's 2 already. I thought it was 1. It's already 2. Huh? 1.5? Okay. He is the scientist. He knows the calculations. Please celebrate them. Celebrate them. Give them the...
Before Pastor Sunday came in, I was just saying congratulations to Pastor Sunday and Pastor Bose.
Is that the reason? Because you knew Pastor Bose was coming today, that's why Gift decided to wear the same color? Or you are just in the spirit?
I actually just not seen it.
Okay.
But even me, I almost the same color as you as well. You know, since the two of you have decided like that, so I decided not to be far away from you people. So we are running after you are catching up.
Okay, so I was saying 23 years is not easy. It's been a long journey, and I believe that for these 23 years, there are certain experiences that you've had together that we would love to learn from. You know, being that we're just 1 day old or maybe 2 days old in a marriage, and so I said I would prefer to ask questions today than, give statements. So,
Smart.
So I want to start by saying that what would you advise that we look out for? What challenges should we look out for in our marriage? And what advice will you give as to how to overcome those challenges? I want to start from there.
If you have been listening to my teachings, especially HMT and things like that, you will see that I'm particularly concerned about one particular issue, which is also in my live broadcast. I addressed that too, which is I'm always concerned about the men, and the men taking charge of their homes and families by making sure they are ready for marriage, and not just ready for marriage itself, but being considerate enough to think ahead. And by that I mean providing all the necessary amenities or facilities or whatsoever that would be needed for the lady to function. Now, this is the best time you ever have. I'm not cussing out, but just for you to know, the best time you ever have is when the two of you are just by yourself. So if you are going to make the mistake of get pregnant by next month, then you are not my disciple. Now you deny yourself. Because that is what people do. They go ahead and get their wives pregnant, and they said it's God who sent us. They would send the blessing. Yes. I said, God, now God sleep with them. So don't lie on God here in my own presence. Me, I'm not going to allow it to happen. But people do that all the time. So your friend is a witness. He's hearing the story. So it will not be wise for you to be students and then get pregnant when she's in school. For me, that would be not loving her at all. Now, she might come to you because she might have girlfriends and mother and grandmother who will be telling her, you are now this age, time is going, bring our daughter, grandchild, do grandchild one, do grandchild two. It doesn't matter, God will take care of them. I was like, but Mom, I'm in school. No, you know, I gave birth to you. And the way I gave birth to you and God helped me, that's the way also God will help you to take care of the ones He will give you. All those narrations, don't build your life on those kind of things. Life is much more advanced than all the village story they used to tell us. So that's the first advice I would like to give. Don't get pregnant the first year. But the other day somebody was telling me, if you don't get pregnant the first year, thank God you are not in Nigeria, but I was told if you don't get pregnant the first year, that all the relatives will begin to take her to the herbalist or to the prophets for some prayers to be offered. And then if she doesn't get pregnant the second year too, or the third, then they might say you brought the wrong lady home, that she cannot have children. But that's the first advice I would like to give, for you people not to be under those kind of pressure and under that kind of deception. Because I will not imagine, when we married, my wife was in school too. I was not in school, but she was in school. But I would not even dare imagine that while she's in school, she will get pregnant. Can you imagine that? Carrying the pregnancy and all that. That is being wicked. That is not good at all. It's like a friend of mine, not a friend, and one of my disciples also, who is on this on our platform. He got he was based abroad in another country. I will not mention the country. And then the fiancé is based in Africa. So he went and married her, and he will go back to try to make her pregnant and come back. Now that the thing didn't work out, they have started saying, there is a problem, so let's do this, let's do that. So he called me and said, Pastor, we have a problem. I said, what problem? He said, we are not having children. I said, how long have you been married? I think they married last year. I said, well, who told you you have a problem? He said, my mother, my father, even her own parents too, and everybody is after us. I said, so you are in another country, and this guy is back in Africa. How do you expect her to be pregnant? I said, I go to visit and I said, are you a bird? It's birds that do those kind of things. I said, you should be thanking your God that she didn't get pregnant. I said, you have to think, how can you say you are my disciple, you'll be listening to me? How could you even imagine doing that? You know what he wanted to do? Because he has not cleared invitation and a green card, and we don't know how long that is going to take off. And you want to make her pregnant in Africa without a husband beside her. Not for 1 month, oh. Not 2, oh. You don't even know, indefinitely. She'll just be pregnant herself, lie in bed, and then you'll be, gyrating in your own country. And you say, oh, we talk on phone. I said, if you were around, I would have thrown you some, but anything that is there by hand. That is so irresponsible. I said, you should be thanking your star, your God Almighty, that God. I said, it's wickedness. You have to be wicked to do that. Get a woman pregnant, and you say you are the husband. Oh, he said he's the one who wants, she's the one who wants it too. Because everybody is putting pressure on her. So she just wants, they said because she's a kid and she's, she doesn't think. She doesn't know what she's talking about. Because she's just biomass. She's just following public opinion. She's not thinking that when she's pregnant, a lot of moods will be changing. Even in a day, you have mood change like 3, 4, 5 times. And then you need somebody who got you pregnant. So the person who is responsible to be near you and to comfort you. So you need someone to sleep in bed, not by yourself, or you go and sleep with the father-in-law. Or because they said that's where I've taken her to my parents. And let them go and be sleeping with your mother-in-law to comfort her. I said, even if she can get pregnant, you yourself should be the one to stand against it. And said, no, I will first of all resolve the visa issue. I mean, can you imagine now, even without pregnancy, going to the embassy, all those embassy queue and all those, the stress. So people who don't think. Because everybody is talking. You see, everybody is talking. Not all head you use to think. It is people's mouth you are using to think. And God gave you head to think with, not people's mouth to think with. I said, even after she has arrived in America, you still have to stay with her in that America first. Because she doesn't even know America. She has to learn to drive there. She has to learn the way the system was. I mean, don't just get her pregnant. Even after coming to America, she needs at least 1 year to get used to the system before getting pregnant. The eyes of the guy opened. He said, okay, what will I be telling our relatives about when they call down? I said, when they talk about that, tell them that I'm not going to talk about that at all. I honor you, I respect you about that. But this one is my life. Just, it's our own family. Leave it. So that's number 1. Number 2, you need to make sure, before you marry, now that you are already married, you need to make sure that the girl you told to become your wife, that she's totally covered, so well covered, protected, and provided for. That she will not be thinking, like I told my Bassett the other day, that my husband cannot afford to buy pepper soup this time. Okay, so how can I help him? Okay, I will go and be doing some little job to help my husband. Let your husband think with his head. What was he thinking when he said you go marry? Let him bring the pepper soup, you cook. So you must provide what she needs. You must cover for her. And that is materially, financially. Even if she's going to have money or making her own money because she's so talented and gifted and she has ability to do that, Let her be making our money. If she wants, let her help you with it. But don't demand from her to be paying 50% for rent, and then I will be paying 50% for food, and then we will gather together and we will see. That's what they say, Nigeria, to make ends meet. Then tell her that it's not wife you are looking for. You are looking for a cooperative, a partner to help you make ends meet. So she should really be relaxed about that. That I have a husband. She doesn't have to worry about that. Now, things could happen in life. You know, some people can lose their job or anything. Stages could be. But at least your disposition must be such that, you know, you are taking charge. You are responsible for the whole thing. So I'm always particular about the men. So if you can do that, you know, make sure that you don't put any other under any stress. She shouldn't be under any stress, especially if she's going to school. If I were you, I would let her finish her school first before we're even having children. You know, that will give her a lot of. And you are saying, okay, but she might have age or something. Look, the thing is that with this age, especially in Europe, people are giving birth at any age they want to. So don't worry about that. You have as many children as you want, but you have them in a condition that is conducive. You'll be more ready. You know, you don't be having children in the room like that, a hostel, and then that child will have trauma. It will have trauma now. And then you'll be, okay, you know, to take him from one floor to the other, and, you know, from one room to the other, the neighbors and the classes, and then you don't want to go through all that stress. You've got to see ahead. So that's number one. For me, you said we are 23 years in marriage. For me, just like we are just 2 years, 3 years in marriage. That's the way I feel. I don't feel 33 at all, and maybe 3 maximum. That's what I'm feeling. So we have just started. Don't worry, you are not far from us. Okay. So number 2 is that, you know, make sure that the provision is there. Number 4, is it number 3 or number 5? I don't even know. Huh?
3.
Number 3. Okay. I learned a very good lesson before we even married ourselves. That you should vow to yourself never to do 2 things. Never raise your voice at your husband, at your wife, and maybe the wife also shouldn't raise her voice at the husband, definitely. That one is almost like, as I assume she would not, but let me just say it. But normally it's the man who wants to do that because it is written on the head, all those kind of things. So we don't want that kind of formula there. So never raise your voice. And number 2, don't turn her to a schoolgirl. And don't turn yourself to a principal or a schoolmaster. And the way the schoolmaster says that, okay, sit down, I'm going to talk to you today. And then you'll be lecturing her, making her feel dejected and as if she's nothing. So you are partners. You are friends, you are partners. So it's not like you are having somebody who is inferior to you, who is, you know, somebody who's just under there, and then I'm on top here, and then I'm talking to her like this as if I'm a god. No, she is going to honor you, but make sure you honor her as well. And don't look down at your wife. Treat her as a friend and as a partner, equal partner. And I think those are the most important situations. That's from my own side, or my wife will say from the side of the woman. But yeah, if you pay attention to those elementary stuff. And then another thing is that this one, it took me a long time to learn. I didn't know that just being in the house, living in the same house with your husband, and even sleeping together and things like that, having children, that doesn't mean you are spending time with her. I discovered this later on in marriage, that to spend time with a woman means to leave everything else and just sit down with her alone and be looking. And you think, but we're in the house together, what's the problem? But yeah, what I discovered is that to spend time with her means just leave everything that you are doing, all your business, all your work, all your book you are writing, all your sermons, as if you don't have work to do. That's the biggest problem for a man. As if you don't have anything to do in life like this. Even leave your congregants and all your leaders and fellowship. I just see that one-on-one like this. I will look at it. So she'll be telling you all kind of things she's thinking about and what is bothering her. You just look and say, yes. Yeah, only just to respond. So that was because I used to read in Christian books that give your family one day a week. But they say, okay, let her do whatever she wants, go to shop or go to rest or go to. But that's different, though. The one I'm talking about, the one I'm talking about now, don't be that one, no. That one going to a restaurant or going to a place, that's also good. But apart from that, our own time is very important. Just sitting down with her like this and looking at each other's eyes. Then she will be telling you all the things that she has, all kinds of emotions. If you have listened to my series, you will see that ladies have all kinds of thousands of emotions, feelings going on. And you don't have anything. You just have two. And your two ones are being met every day, so you don't even care. But she has all of them, culminating all the time. And, just, so a lot of undercurrents in a woman. So she needs time to just be able to release this. So, and that would be good to have that, if not every day, at least once a week. Just sit down and just, but every day it will be better. The more frequent, the better for you. So, well, those are the basic things I think that you might want to pay attention to.
Thank you, sir.
Now it's Pastor Bose's turn. You see the lady smiling now. Before she was looking as if she didn't have smile. Now I can see she still has it. I could show the smile that where are you lost? It's the girl's smile you go show, not be my own now. My own no matter. That's it. Let's fix that one in the camera. So that if she loses this thing, then I know we are in trouble. I will not wait for her to come and report. Now you I go call. If I don't see those smiles coming, sure, you are going to get a call from us.
Okay. To what Pastor had said, I would like to add this also from experience. Okay, there's what you call men's psychology, women's psychology. So it's good if you will know that and enter into the marriage what I would call more mature. Understanding the differences between the two of you. And I don't know if you have heard this, but they said it's impossible to change a person. It's impossible to change a man.
Another person.
Yeah, it's impossible to change another person. It's impossible to change a man. It's impossible to change a woman. So knowing that you are different is very important, and not trying to change him or not trying to change her will be really helpful. Yeah, and it will save you from a lot of trouble. So when you see those differences, it's better to turn it into a learning curve. Make your notes, study, understand, and say the best way to approach. Because when we know something or when we know somebody, then we look for the best approach. So instead of that becoming a weakness, one should learn to turn that into strength. By knowing the person and knowing the psychology of the person you are dealing with. Number two, generally we women we tend to be more orderly in some areas, and since we view the home management as our territory, although the husband is the head of the family, but you as a woman you feel the house is your territory. Yeah. So and we tend to like things to be the way we want it, right? but living with another person will bring some disruption. Once we had to consult a couple, and the wife was complaining that he doesn't wash plates after himself, he leaves the kitchen dirty and stuff like that. And when we spoke to the man said he's trying, but that the woman wanted perfect order. You know, the man, the husband thought he was doing his best, because I mean that was his best. That was what he knew. Yeah. But it's like the woman was noting, you know, every dot, every dirt. So I had to tell the lady that if you want a perfect kitchen, if you want a neat kitchen, then most likely you have to keep your kitchen to yourself without your husband. So what I'm trying to say is that there will be a big difference between when you are living alone, when you know where things are, you knew there was no intruder, things were always like this. A new character is changed. You might not have that kind of understanding you have. So understanding that now you are not living alone, and things will not always stay the way they were staying before, and just approaching that in a mature way, you know, like for example, when my kids were smaller, and they didn't love washing the plates, so I had to explain to them that, well, they needed to wash the plates because we had food to eat. If there were no food, there would be no plate to wash. So those kind of discomfort, you know, things not standing the way you would have loved it to be, or things not being the way it would have been if you were the one living alone, it's like that because you are married, you know. It's like that because you have another blessing. So seeing it from that side really will make things easier. Okay. The next thing is, well, I don't know your type of personality, but I, for some time, before I became a better personality, a bolder personality, when somebody misbehaves, and that misbehaving it doesn't necessarily mean to be something wrong, but something wrong in my own eyes, in my own understanding, expectation, behavior. You know, when somebody misbehaves or somebody does something, you know, it's like I just become dumbfounded. I just become perplexed. It's like I'm lost for words. I'm so, I don't know how to say it, so annoyed that a human being could do this, that I even sometimes it was even difficult for me to express, you know, what I was feeling. So I will keep that to myself a lot. So, and we should not help issues, because, you know, then the anger will be accumulating, and then when you couldn't take it any longer, you just flare up. You just flare up, and you will be surprised. I mean, there were cases where I flared up like that, and I was amazed at my husband's reaction. I mean, he just took it. He just said, "Just tell me what you wanted," or you just needed to say it. Yeah. So, not, you know, accumulating all those negative emotions. It's better to write them down, and then let him know, or let her know that there's something I would like to discuss with you. For sometimes I had to write down issues. You know, I have 10 points. You know, I have things to discuss with you. So instead of keeping that to yourself, you know, it's better, you know, to just express it to him. And this brings us to the next point, that when you are expressing yourself, it's very important to express it with a benefit of a doubt. Yeah, I had problem with that, because already when you are angry, you have already condemned the person, and you have already in your heart pronounced the person guilty. So if even the way you talk about a thing, you know, you say it in anger, you've already condemned the person. And I was always like,
this is. I've been signing under that statement. She's been there.
and you know, I was always like surprised when I would say something and my husband would say, you are condemning me, or you've condemned me already. And or sometimes I would say something in anger and it would take it easy, cool. So that made me to understand that
I would say you've not had the other side. Maybe there is another side.
Yeah, maybe my own side or something like that. So that's gave me the wisdom that even if you are 100% sure, you know, that somebody is wrong, when you are approaching the person, it's still very good to approach the person in a neutral way, because there might be a side that you just don't know, because things appear to us, you know, according to the way we feel inside. But there may be many sides to a story. Yeah. So at least it's put in a better condition. You know, if you say, I would like to know more about this, you know, or what happened there, or by asking questions, then before making your conclusions, that will save your nerves, and that will save the relationship. And of course, openness, not having a secret, living an open life, you know, is very important, because sooner or later every secret will be revealed. So there is no sense in having secrets. So I think those things will help you, and from that you'll be.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Thank you so much. Yeah, I think I have a question. Okay. The way I was actually brought up is such that there are some questions you ask someone, then it's assumed not believe in what I told you, or you don't agree, or you don't trust, or you don't believe. So I always feel offended when after I finish telling you a story, or about I just told you about something, and then you ask some kind of question. So I'm just beginning to learn about how questions are important, because it gets me weird. It makes me feel like, why are you talking like this? That question brings the anger. When I was relating the message, when I was telling you the story, I was so excited. I was all out saying it, so feeling that I was talking to the same life person that has life mind like me, but I never knew I was getting it all wrong, because this person might likely ask me some questions, and to me, when it's being asked, it makes me think twice. At the time, I feel like, why didn't I even keep it to myself? Maybe I should look for somebody else to share it with, because the question makes me feel like you really don't believe what I told you. So that's the way, I was brought up. We ask questions when it's needed, or just when we see things, going wrong in the house, we ask questions, and then we get answers. But when somebody tells you a story, there are some questions you're expecting from the person to ask you. Whereas there's a way, if the question is being twisted, that's I'm saying twisted, then it gets you offended. So I don't know if actually it has happened to you as a person, that you relate a message to somebody, and then the person asks you some questions that will make you start thinking that way. I don't know, I'm trying to learn the question aspect and how to accept questions and how to see it as a part of life, as some kind of questions, though, as part of life and as part of way of learning as well. So,
I mean, that is actually, to me, that is part of personal development and part of confidence building, because we shouldn't really expect people to just believe what we say. Who are we that they should just believe what we say? I mean,
I'm your wife. I was just thinking, I'm your wife.
okay, are you talking in relation to your husband?
Husband and wife.
Oh, no, wife. Oh, sorry, yeah. Okay, but still, it's part of self-development, and even if it's husband and wife, right? We on our side, we should have this disposition that, well, when it comes to husband and wife, yeah, it should believe. When you are saying it should believe, but it still has its right to clarify some things, yeah. And also by asking questions, it may help you to see what you are not seeing, you know. It may help you to see what you're not seeing, because even the stories we tell it from our point of view, you know. Like we can tell a story about how somebody treated us, we can tell a story about how the songs there, or how the conference there, or what this person did, or what I saw in the shop. You know, before we could tell that story, we still had to, it has to pass through us. And by passing through us, it has been infiltrated, you know, with our mindset, with our understanding. So we still tell the story to our advantage, consciously or unconsciously. We still say it to our advantage. So asking questions, which is very encouraged in self-development. You know, if you are not asking questions, you are considered, you know, a dumb person, you know, somebody who doesn't want to learn those. Through questions, we get to understand, we get to get into the depth of the thing. So you ask questions for clarification, you ask questions, sometimes we say, just to clarify, just to be sure I'm getting you right. Yeah, and part of self-development really is not to expect people just to take you because you said it. I mean, it's free to ask questions to clarify, and by him asking questions, it might even help you to understand better what you are saying, and for you also to criticize yourself. And if I say a story one time and somebody asks me a question, and the way I will say the story the second time will be different, because the way I will say the story the second time would have answered some other questions, you know, because if I've answered all his questions in my story, I don't think he will ask that question. But even if he asks it, it will be like clarification. And you know, like Africans will say, "Oh, didn't you hear it? But I said it." So instead of all those, didn't you hear me saying it? Or I said it. You will say, "Okay, like I mentioned before." So you repeat it, and repetition makes somebody to get it better. I think it's a question of culture and ego, because also when I was growing up in Africa, nobody encouraged me to ask self-developing questions. You ask questions if you really need answers, and you don't ask challenging questions. And who are you to ask such challenging questions? So it's a benefit of our age that we can ask self-developing questions, challenging questions, which make us better people. And we are blessed to be encouraging our children to ask questions, because by asking questions, it also improves your thinking. Because you have to think before you can ask good questions. And asking question means you are following, and you want to get better. Yeah, for an undeveloped, for somebody coming from Africa, yeah, asking question is like, "Oh, so you don't believe me?" So you know, there are a lot of "so" you want to say. Like, there was a time I heard a story, like the wife was telling the husband some things she doesn't like, or something like, "Oh, I don't think you are spending enough time with the children." And then then the response of the husband was, "Okay, so you are trying to say I'm a bad father." I mean, look at it. It's too far. It's too extreme. And that was the end of the conversation. What can you say to a man after that? You just know that his brain is undeveloped. He's too far. You know, somebody is just
his emotions are
or his emotions are undeveloped, because it's very difficult to continue a conversation after that, because that was not what the wife meant. The wife was really meaning to help him to become a better father. Nobody was saying that he wasn't a good father, but if he would pay attention to that, then he would become a better father. But you know, we have those kind of extremes a lot, not just in Africa, with anybody. It's like when you don't have an argument, then you just flare up. So you're trying to say, because there's no argument. But when you have an argument, you're able to follow through the conversation. So I think that's an upbringing, something that is a cultural thing, and the more you work on yourself, you read books, you work on becoming a personality, you will even be encouraging questions. I don't know if you have listened to people after making a speech, then they ask people for questions. You know, that means they are confident. You know, that means it's not that I've told you everything. End, period. So, do you have any question? That means, do you want to go back to any area of what I've spoken about, or do you want to bring something else? They're confident people. Any more questions? Any question? But somebody that is not confident, of course, no question. I said it. Just take it. About taking it. So, I've been there, and I think that has to do with our upbringing, and it's a process of developing yourself. Because after some times, you yourself will be asking yourself questions. You know, you yourself will be asking yourself questions, and your delivery will become better, and your understanding of life will become better.
Let me try to contribute to that question. You see, this is now the same scenario we're acting out now. She just told her own part of the story. She just told a story now by answering you. Okay, she just told something, but I'm going to interject and not totally agree with what she's saying, but not also disagree. But I'm going to add another aspect to it. So even though she has said what she has said, but what I think that your question was I think is a little bit useful, because that's why the gospel is written by 4 different people, because they all understood it different. Okay, I think your question is actually about more of a question of husband and wife. That is, if you, Princess, as a wife, you are telling me something, you came back excited from church, from town, from school of the children or something, you came back excited and you are telling me some stories. But the first desire and need of that wife is actually that I will also be excited back. Because she's excited about whatever she's talking about, and she's emotional about it. So she doesn't even if I don't agree, she wants me to share excitement, to share in her excitement and be a share leader, and just support her and back her up, be on her side with that story, and support her even when I have questions, but I still act out in support. And then when she has landed, but most men can't wait that long. Most men can't wait that long. So instead of the man waiting that long until she finishes the story before asking the question, we would like to ask, even in the beginning of the story or in the middle of the story or something. Then even when she wants to say, but no, wait, let me tell you the thing I'm thinking. Let me finish my, let me, listen to me first. So she has a need in her emotions being filled. Her emotional needs to be met by just you listening to the end and controlling yourself. So the problem women have is that we have to control our emotions. We have to control our urge. But let me now tell you, ladies, where men are coming from when she is stopping you to ask questions. The reason he's stopping you to interject is because he is eager to help you. It's not that he doesn't want to hear the story to the end, but he's eager to say, okay, maybe, what I will say will help. And he's always looking, as a protector that he is, and as a man, he's always thinking that whatever you are story you are telling, that it's going to need, you are telling him all those things because you will need some of his help. So he wants to offer help. So he's quickly stopping you for you to know that I'm here. So, I'm going to tell you now, the way to resolve it and how the thing is going to be resolved. But that's not what a girl needs right now. I don't need help or a solution or anything. I just need you to be here and to listen to me and to understand what I'm telling you and to be on the same page with me. Then after that, then maybe if you have any question or then you can say. But if you also stop the man at that time and say, please listen to the end, he will also shut down and say, I thought I was helping her. And now she has even shut my mouth down or shut my mouth up. So this is a little bit of a little bit of peculiarity difference between men and women that we need to be more sensitive about. Most of the time when women are telling us whatever they have experienced or their story or talk like that, it's not because they need our help. And most of the time we think also, another thing that men think also sometimes, that they think that by stopping you and asking you some questions, that they are supporting you, that they want to support the conversation. But the problem with women is that when they're in that mood to talk, just let it flow. It's better not to, your help might not be needed. So, because it is right now, she even needs more of your emotional support and your emotional agreement and, camaraderie, they call it camaraderie? Yeah, camaraderie is what she needs. So she just needs that, yes, she just needs that support and that oneness. And then only when she has now stopped and say, what do you think? Then you have the right to put your own, what we call capier. No piat capier. I think Princess can tell you a lot about that kind of scenario.
Yes, I can, and I want to talk about that. It's really a big issue. It's really a big issue in relationship. And from my side, I think we change roles. During these 23 years, we changed roles. There were times when I was excited about saying things, and it was the one maybe asking those kind of questions. Then later, I became the one asking those kind of questions. And from my side, one of the reasons that makes me to do that, which is not totally the best way.
To do what?
Like, interjecting with question, with question, is you think that your spouse is being carried away. That could be also a scenario. A scenario. You think that your spouse is getting carried away with the excitement, that he is not seeing the real world. Yeah, I'm talking about myself. Yeah, that is, or it might be overreacting. Maybe over generous or over praising or overdoing something. You might think that it's over doing something. So by asking questions, you try to bring him down. Yeah, you try to bring him down. But really, the best thing is what Pastor has said, that when somebody is high, when somebody is in a high mood, it's better to support the person, because when somebody is in a high mood and you are asking those questions, it's like you are cutting, the wings. Yeah, you are cutting the wings. So I think it's more a display of emotional intelligence when you first, agree with the person not necessarily agree, but at least trying to see support, support the person. Then when you have concern, it could be another day, it could be after a week, going back to the situation. By that time, also the person might have cooled down, or maybe even have a little bit of different opinion. Then raising your concern, about that. And that is a very big topic in relationships and in marriage, when people have different opinions. When people have different opinions, it's a very big issue. So giving time, taking time out, for every part to sort things out can really help in such situations. So to me, it comes back to trusting God. It comes back to trusting God. That's okay. For those waiting time, when you see that your spouse is excited about something or is committed to something, and you think a balance needs to be striking here, then it now comes to trusting God, praying about it, for God's will to be done. Because sometimes we think we know the best thing, for our spouse. We think we know this is how it should be, but God has, 1,000 variants, and we don't always know exactly the way God wants to do it. So it's another step of faith and trusting God. And another thing that really helps me in those situations when I'm thinking my husband is making a decision that I will not make, is making a decision that I think is not right, another thing that helps me is, especially when it concerns him, Of course, there will be some things that concerns the family, because it's a family, but there will be some things that concerns him more. So what helps me in other cases is that I think back to the time when he was a bachelor, when I was not in his life, and he lived, he made his decisions, he got the glory, he got the consequences. So sometimes it's never too good to overdo something, in the name of trying to save a situation or saving a person, because it's a personality, and even this is not desirable. But even if, let's say, something bad happened and there was a divorce, right? It will still live its life, and you will live your life. So those, I'm not talking about immoral decisions or something like that, but the things you are trying to fight against, it will still do it on its own if you are not with him anyway. So there is room, to trusting God, with some decisions that your spouse will make. So these are, the kind of thoughts, that helps me to strike a balance when an important decision needed to be made. Because two personalities growing up, and there will be occasions, there will be a lot of occasions that you will have the same opinion, because being Christian has really solved a lot of problems for us. Almost 95% of our decisions are already made, according to the Bible. Our mind, our behavior has been shaped, but there will still be those 5% that is an issue of non-truth or truth, not really lie, and those will be the trying situation. I don't know if you would like to add to that.
I think she's already fulfilled and happy that we were able to address the question, because that is not a big question, but it's a question of communication. And when you are communicating and you say that, just like you said, I like that you are very open, because when you are trying to speak to your spouse and you are looking for understanding, and that understanding is not there, the next course of reaction is what you just said. I feel like you feel like shutting down. Okay, it means she doesn't want to listen. He doesn't want to listen to me, or he's not supporting me. Let me go and look for another person. That is why women look more for their girlfriends or for their mother to be their closest ally that they share things with, because their husband cannot just understand what she wants. So it's good that you raise that question, because it could lead to people shutting down. And once you shut down like that, then you are only having family by name. You are no more really having family, because once that communication stream stops, then you are just like neighbors. Sharing the same bed.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you, Mom.
Maybe somebody else wants to say anything or contribute.
Especially the single lady.
For me, with regards to your question, what I tend to do regarding that question, and what I tend to do is when I'm not getting answers, I tend to go and make that decision. You see, so rather than shutting down, I would just go ahead and make a decision that I think should be taken, or the
I don't understand. In regards to what?
with regards to if what Pastor Bose was saying.
Okay, say that. I will repeat the scenario, because we don't remember what particular scenario. There are so many scenarios.
Okay, so if I'm in communication, so I'm expecting that my husband, I'm looking for certain answers from him, and I'm not getting a response from that. Rather than shutting down, I would go ahead and make the decision that I think is right in the situation.
And go ahead, Doctor.
Yeah, that's just what I want to say. Rather than shutting down and bottling things up, I would just go ahead and start making decisions.
You don't talk through?
No, usually I would want him to, I would expect from him as my husband to make certain decisions regarding certain aspects, decisions that we have to make in our relationship.
The family.
Yeah, that's right, in the family. And when he's not doing that, or if I'm not getting an answer from him, or when he's not ready, I would just rather...
You take the leadership, yeah?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, because somebody has to take the decision. Okay.
Anyone else wants to say anything? Even, it doesn't have to be a question. You can actually say what you want to say about Dr. Sunday and Pastor Bose, their marriage, what it means to you, how you've been inspired or not inspired. Doesn't have to be a question. It's their day. You can actually celebrate them as you wish.
Yeah, I want to appreciate Pastor Bose and Pastor Sunday, because even before I finally put my brains back in my head to listen to their teachings, watching them live and the way they communicate taught me a lot, Because I remember one time I came visiting and my husband was asked a question. I picked up the question and started answering for me. Pastor Bose was like, what are you doing? She started pinching me. I got my lesson there that you are not the one being addressed. Are you his mouthpiece? He can talk for himself. Because from where I'm coming from, I've been, wild, I didn't know how to respect my man. I didn't know how to respect my husband. And all those things, then from that day, I started watching the way she interacts with the husband. And I always notice that if she's not asked, she doesn't answer. It's not that she has nothing to say, but it's just that a way of showing that respect, a way of showing that he is the head. As we say that the man's food is his ego. It's a way of that hyping his ego. Respect him, especially when you're in the public. So many other things I learned just watching them live their lives before I actually became a mentee of theirs, in the real sense. So I am so grateful that, they have been mentors, not only to me, but a lot of us that can testify that watching their lives is a big privilege. Those that are wise enough to be to have their legs find them here, apart from their teachings that we follow on Facebook and other social media. So I am so very, very privileged, and thank God that, I'm learning now, officially learning from them. Yeah, and I wanted to add a little bit to your question, like when she was saying, Pastor, they answered the question that you listen, that sometimes you might interrupt to help her. But even if, it depends on the kind of personality you are, even if you're the type that listens to the whatever story that her excitement and everything till the end, like Pastor Sunday said that the most important thing is to share in that excitement. So even if you listen to the end and still just ask the question, you didn't feed her, you didn't feed her excitement. Yeah, you should go, baby, yeah, even if you don't wanna, because it happens to me sometimes, that you come with this excitement, you talk, and it will just be, what were you saying, or some kind of, I would say stupid question. That's not what you expected. You expecting a full excitement, like, yeah, come on, baby, yeah, and that kind of a thing. So no matter where you break it, she needs that feed, food of excitement, show that excitement before you ask your question. Because if your question comes before the excitement, you've killed her too. You've cut off those wings, yeah. So that is it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So, I want to say that I'm really grateful for the fact that I have this opportunity to be here and to observe you two, because I have grown up in a family that is not, I can say dysfunctional, especially in terms of my parents. And I actually didn't plan to come and learn in that aspect, but I'm just very grateful that I have that opportunity to see how it can work, because I noticed that there's a lot that I have learned from my parents that I didn't like, but that I also acquired by myself, having been in a relationship. And there were things that I did not want to do that I did. And I realized that it was because I never really understood what it means to be yourself still while you're in a relationship or in a marriage. And all I've been seeing is that women most of the time would always give in somehow. They would always, you can see that there's something in them that would die because of that relationship. And I see, to me, it's very fascinating to see that you, Pastor Bose, are just doing your own thing. And you are, you're just living your life, you're planning it the way it fits you and the way it fits your purpose, and you are still your own person. And whenever you respond to questions or you're with people, you still have that independence that you kept. And I feel, to me, this is something that I haven't really seen. And most of the times it is rather negative when the woman says that she's independent, because it's more showing that she doesn't need the man, and at any time she could just say bye and that's it, because she's independent. But I can see that there is a balance between you two, and that even though you still have your own person and you still have your own independence, you fit into Dr. Sunday's life
and make room for him. Yeah.
Exactly. It's very fascinating, also just because Dr. Sunday is who he is, and still being able to cope and being able to somehow fill the puzzle. It's such a great experience for me to witness, and I learned so much that I feel like I can't say that I don't want to get married, but I don't want to get married yet, because there's so much that I'm learning every day just by observing you two. even though I'm not there when you have deep conversations or anything, but just the way that you interact with each other when we are around or in church, when you answer questions, or the way you look at each other or at other people. To me, I observe a lot, and you know, I draw my conclusions this way and learn, and if I don't understand anything, then I come and ask. But I can say for myself that I'm just very grateful that I've been able to witness this, and it has given me a lot of hope for my own future, whatever it is. I just feel like I don't need to be married in order to be happy and fulfilled, but I also realize that it can be such a really great blessing. And I want, if this is this is something I would be doing, I want it to be working. I don't want to be, I don't want it to fail, and I don't want it to be an obstacle, because it's not. I feel like it's not a big deal, if you understand what I mean. It's not a big deal here, because you both can focus on your own assignments. You can focus on whatever you have to do, and it still works. So, and this is always an issue with people that I know, even if it's my friends, not necessarily my parents, but whenever we talk about things, and the problems are always in the marriage, and this marriage, or these marriage problems, they interfere with everything else. And so for me, it was always an issue, like, if you're married, do you have to give up something? You have to give up some part of you, and it's just beautiful to see that finally there's a place where it all can work together and it all can function. And it's obviously not 100% perfect all the time, like you have always said, but it can work. And I want to get to a place where I can also say this one day, and I can say, okay, no matter what, it works, and I can still follow my focus, my purpose. I can take time for my children. I can take time for whoever it is else that I'm taking care of outside of the family and parents and all of these kind of things. So, yeah, it's just a beautiful thing to witness. And, thank you for that.
Yeah, Precious. I will let you have it. I have this to say. I think what has helped is, like Pastor says, you can see that he has an understanding of who a woman is. And because, I don't know how to say it, is it I've been given freedom, or I don't know how to say it, because really I'm supposed to be free. But because of the right mentality, and because of his attitude to me, you know, that allows me to be myself, to be free. So it makes it easy to submit in questions where we don't have agreement. Yeah, because most of the times we have agreement, because most of the time I'm free to be myself. So in those, there are few issues, and of course, I mean, there are, how do I say, they are normal issues, you know, they are not controversial issues, they are just life issues, right? So in those few moments, you know, when we have disagreement, of course, I try to do what he prefers to do, just because I've had a big portion, you know, of freedom, of being myself. So those few times, you know, I need to submit to him. It's easier to submit to him, because my whole life is not about submitting to him in the sense that just doing what he wants, and not what I want. Yeah, but because I've had my freedom to be myself. So when the time arrives to really submit to him, the way people see submission, like doing what he prefers, that what I don't really want, yeah, it's much more easier. It's sensible, because you've been given much. So it's easier to be subservient in such situation, because there is ground for it. It's like, I've given you all this 85% freedom or 90% freedom. Okay, you do this for me. So I think if couples we see it that way and just minister to each other, and he's not the only one giving me freedom, I also give him freedom to be himself, because I believe that it's not a sin to be married, and it's not something of
bondage.
Yeah, it's not a burden to be married. Of course, marriage has its own trials. Marriage will try you, and there will be, at least for me, I can say for myself, that there has been time, I wished I wasn't married, So you have those moments that you wish just want to get out of everything, but understanding that, marriage shouldn't be a burden. Marriage shouldn't be shouldn't be something killing, So that helps you to try your best to be a blessing, and not a curse, not to complicate another man's life. And it's also good if the man also understands that it's not there to complicate your life. So if there is such respect, you try your best to help him to be successful. If it's a ministry he's trying to build, first you help him to build his ministry. And like I always teach, you don't lose yourself in the process of helping him. You can still be yourself. We help people. I help a lot of people, but I'm still myself. So you help him. It's obvious that you are helping him, but you are still yourself. He helps me, but he is still himself. So I think if couples understand that this marriage is not, the Bible says, I will bring a suitable helper, in the sense that, okay, the wife, but I also see it, this is my understanding. I also see that he is also a suitable helper. I'm not the only suitable helper. He helps me and I help him, right? Of course, there is no question about who is the head of the family. He is the head of the family. So, and we need to be reminded of that only if we have some controversial issues and in the framework of the Bible. So it's much more easier to submit to your husband if he's not an authoritative husband, if he's not always telling you, the Bible says you have to submit to him, because the Bible also says you have to love your wife. Right. And if you love your wife, you will always do everything for her also, to please her. So if we are able to feed one another well enough, if we are well fed emotionally, spiritually, then the little time we need to find a good compromise. It will not be so painful. There's the few time we need to do it. So I think that will also help in relationship.
Okay, it's 8 o'clock. So soon we'll be having the next program. I think it will interest people to know what we have done today, and now we are celebrating the 13th. This is the way we are celebrating.
23rd.
The 23rd anniversary. This is the way we are celebrating it. Like I said, for me it's like 3rd anniversary, not 23rd. This is the way we are celebrating it, and personally, I'm very happy that Pastor Bose was in church, so maybe she will tell us what happened in church. Well, for me, I was at home, and I always try to give out something I think actually it's better for my wife, so I've said to talk.
Yes.
How did I celebrate you want to do?
You want to do? Okay.
Everyone will share.
Okay, so this is how it happens. We woke up and we came into the VIP. As you know, VIP is our meeting room in DSA's house. And he got out, what was the amount? About maybe 20 suits up and down.
Yeah.
Different colors.
You remember them?
Yeah, bright, gray, green, black, colorful ones as you know him, some dark ones, beautiful. designer suits, okay, that he decided to give out. And as I came to understand, this is how he does his anniversary all the time. Each year, he just gives out some suits. So that's how it started.
Okay, it's back.
Okay, so as I was saying, today, Dr. Sunday decided to share some of his suits. I mean, good suits. It's not that they're old, it's not that they're outworn or whatever. Designers, tailor-made suits, you know. Names like Giorgio Armani, if you have anything to do with that name, and all those Pacelli, and who knows their name. You know what I mean? So, for people to just feel good with their bodies. So some guys in the house, they took them and they shared among themselves. And this is usually how he does his anniversary. And that really taught me a lot, just like when he did his...
Focus. Don't distract people.
Yeah, usually when they do when he did his Golden Jubilee, it was also about sharing, about caring for people. So just like he taught us after that, celebrating kingdom style. And this is the way he did the kingdom style today, by blessing someone with those beautiful suits. So that was how it was today. No Owambe. And this so precious discussion that we had, you can call Relationships 101 Live. Right from DSA and DB, as I call her, Dr. Bose Dere-Adelaja, his princess. That's Dr. Dere-Adelaja's princess. So I don't know where you get such counseling, you know, deep heart talk from a couple that have lived for more than 23 years. It's not that they don't have troubles, as you heard, but they have gained wisdom through the years to know how to do marriage. And this is a blueprint to how to do marriage, you know. And I believe that most of you that plan to go into marriage or that are in marriage should go back to this video and listen to the points that both DSA made, the questions that were being asked, and the one Dr. Bose Dere-Adelaja also, her own answers, and you will learn so much from this video. So this is how the day went. I hope I communicated everything.
It's not full.
Yeah.
Not full. Not full.
Not full. Okay, continue.
A second. I just want to continue first. Yeah. Okay. Right. How did the day started? Well, the day started this morning with obviously Dr. Pastor Bose went to church as usual. She always goes to church on Sundays. She's a lead pastor in the church, so she's always in church. And Pastor was at home for reading, so he was going to work as normal. There was no big decoration or anything to say today is the anniversary. We know it's the anniversary because we told each other a night before, just the night before, and we knew also that Dr. Sunday is not really big on just celebrating anyhow without purpose. So we're really careful in terms of how we celebrate this with them without being a biomass, and just trying to ensure that it fits with their own style, with their own kingdom way of doing things. So we were just calm and collected. But yes, by the time Dr. Sunday came down, he came down with, I think it was about 20 pairs of suits, which I was trying to take to sell on eBay, so that, or I can auction maybe 5 or 10 years time. But he was like, no, give it to people. There's no need. There's going to be many. And some guys came down. I actually went to call them, as many people as possible. They came down to get their suits. We looked at them as well. We did like a little fashion for a laugh. And Dr. Sunday started working. So he started the reading session. And that was for maybe a couple of hours. We talk in the middle, ask questions in the middle of that. Just normal day, like just being in a family and just talking. And then we went out after for a brief moment. Some people were still at home working, went out, and then we came back. Time goes so fast. And we prepared downstairs, expecting Pastor Bose from church. So she came about 6 and came straight to us to see us, and knowing that there may be some people in the VIP area where we always sit together. So she came down, she congratulated us. We were supposed to be congratulating her, but she was going around and, you know, hugging us and welcoming people. And we all sat together, and Pastor Bose started to entertain us in terms of answering our questions and engaging us. So I turned the camera on, and we started this video broadcast. And Pastor Bose, I want to call her Dr. Bose, that's amazing. Pastor Bose was so engaging, asking questions. She came in the mindset for me of wanting to serve, that this is our anniversary. My mindset was, it's their day, we should celebrate them, because, you know, I came from the world where you have to, other people have to celebrate you all the time. And she came in the mindset to give, to celebrate other people, to share her life, what she's learned, what she's done in the last few years with us. And it was very evident, because us questioned and, you know, looked at one of the brothers, Precious, and asking question, what question do you have about marriage? It's almost like they will how we started this. And then Dr. Sunday was also serving he was on the phone, and eventually he came to us and joined, and then moved us from the room with no mosquitoes outside to mosquitoes. Yeah, but you see, this is marriage here. And Pastor Bose said, but with fresh air. So, you know, Pastor Bose said, so everyone, we just complied. And even that was a lesson for me, because I, for one, this is where I'm going with all this actually. I, for one, I really appreciate Pastor Bose, and also, obviously, I don't need to say, but I would say I also appreciate Pastor Sunday himself, Dr. Sunday. I saw Pastor Bose speak once during the live broadcast. I think it was around Christmas, and the whole family were talking, and the children were speaking, and then Pastor Bose came and spoke. I was actually telling Queen Nikki today. And immediately, I just saw her as a personality. I don't need to be told that she's a personality, but, you know, I've always seen wives of pastors and leaders to be, like, lost and always just like an attachment rather than a whole themselves. And immediately, when she started speaking, she was very calmly spoken. I know Dr. Sunday speaks very highly of her. And I know for Dr. Sunday to be able to do what he does, laugh the way that he laughs, he must have a very, very good wife. But to actually see Pastor Bose and the way she spoke so calmly, there were questions that were thrown at her from the live broadcast, and people were just saying different things, but we had a topic, and she stuck to the topic. She said that this is what this is about. She was very stern. You know, I was just so in love with her, looking at her from my screen in London in my room. And I said, this is a real woman, and this is a real wife. This is a real person, you know, because I don't see that. It's usually they just blindly, or, you know, maybe I don't even know what word would be. You know, submission is good, but the submission is almost like unreal, like a fake type of submission that I see. But this was just a real person, a strong person. The strength I saw was from inside, inner strength. And she was speaking. She said what she wanted to say. She answered the question. You know, she was in an entity on her own. And I just so admired her. And that was the first time that I saw a real marriage. You know, of course, my parents are married. They're much older parents. And what I saw in that was just, for me, it wasn't marriage. It was just... for me, what I saw in my parents' marriage was a prison, you know, call it anything you want to call it, but it wasn't marriage as far as it is in the Bible. And I respect marriage because it says in the Bible that marriage, you know, God ordained marriage. So I respect it, but I don't see that in the world. So I still didn't know about the marriage, but I thought she's a real woman and she's a real wife at that point. And then coming here and living in the house is like they surpass expectation for me. I've never really even envisioned that this type of relationship is possible coming from the world that I came from, where two people are an entity on their own. They are exact opposite, but the best opposite that fits. You know, it's almost like a puzzle that fits, and that's what I see from what is in my view on a daily basis. So I really, really admire that. And the question that I have, because I think Pastor Clement really made a very good point that in this type of opportunity that we have, the best thing is really not to talk, not to say anything, right? Is to actually listen. And if you are smart enough to have question, to ask a question, really has fed me a lot. So they've also fed me a lot. But there is something that I've always kind of thought of, and you know, about Pastor Bose Dere. I think Pastor Sunday have actually answered it, and she answered it as well today in terms of the personality and the person that she is, because she's able to actually identify a lot that, you know, she has a freedom, she has a love, she has the things that she needs from Pastor Sunday, and with Dr. Sunday, for the benefit of people online, give Pastor Bose everything that she needs. But I think my question is that, do you think that their relationship is just peculiar or unique to you, or this is something that really, really is possible for other people, that you have to really work at it to, even at 23 years, it's still, I think that it's still like how Dr. Sunday said that it's just 3 years. To me, when I look at them, and I don't know if anyone see the same thing, they're almost like newlyweds all the time. When I see them in public, I don't know how they are, you know, when they're indoors with each other, but even their demeanor with each other, they're like newlywed. And is this a personality thing, or is something that you spoke about development, Pastor Bose? Like, you know, you have to develop certain things, develop yourself, get to know certain things. But is this a development thing, or is this just your personality? Because, you know, and like I said, I mean, I'm not really a young girl, but I haven't seen many like you, or any, actually, rather than say many, but any like you. So is this something that you have to develop and work at and be, or and is unique to you, peculiar to you guys, or any of us also can kind of attain this? Because Pastor Sunday is just another ball game altogether. So
let me
yeah,
clarify the question.
Okay.
From my understanding, the question is for me, right?
Yes, it's for you.
And the question is this kind of relationship possible for other people? Is this something special, unique to both of us,
Yes.
right? Did I get it right?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, Pastor says, and I mean, history, science show that there are laws. Yeah, there are laws, and if you learn the law, then you can get the results. So to answer that question, I would say on a part, yeah, there are laws of marriage, and if you follow those laws, you should be able to get the same result. So the general answer would be that. Of course, you have to work on yourself. The same marriage is not for children. Marriage is for adults. To have a successful marriage, Pastor has a book successful marriage takes work. Yeah. So if you are willing to work on yourself, I personally think it's possible. It's possible for us to work on ourselves, to change our personality. It's very possible, and I think, Pastor my heart to this, but I think what works for one can work for another person. Only we just need to work on ourselves, get ourselves to the same stage, get the same understanding, and once you get the same understanding, I think it's possible. Of course, marriage has its own peculiarity in the sense that it involves two people. It involves two people, and for a marriage to be successful, it's important for the two parts to be successful. So that is why, like marrying a person of the same belief, the person of the same caliber, values, mind really matters in having a successful marriage. It's very important. So once you get that right, and both of them are ready to work, and both of them are ready to follow the law of marriage, and I think it's possible. It's not easy to arrive at, but it's possible. And I think once you get it, and it's also a question of purpose. Why do you marry? Why do you want to marry? So if you know the purpose of marriage, then it will be much more easier to reach a consensus about having a marriage that works, about having a marriage that blesses, in contrary to a lot of marriages where you have a lot of stress and just derailing to the partners in the marriage. So I think there is nothing too special about both of us. Of course, I must admit that at the beginning of the marriage, Pastor Sunday was, let me think of the word to use. He was more conscious of the marriage. He knew what he wanted from the marriage, and well, I don't want to say that he's less responsible now, but it really showed a high level of responsibility that kept the marriage together until I got it. So I always give the merit of the first years of the marriage to him until I got a better glimpse of how to create a better marriage. So it was really there at the foundation of the marriage until we got things smooth, and I think both of us are working on it. But let's see what you will want to add to that.
Yeah, the laws that life is predictable has two aspects to it. The fact that if you know the laws of marriage and you observe the laws, then you can get the same result. But the reason why for you to get the same result, you must be willing to pay the price. The price of discipline and the price of change. So it's not enough to know the laws. You can know the laws, but if you don't pay the price, then you will still not get the same result. So that's why I believe that 50% of people are not even supposed to marry. Because marriage is too serious for most people that I see. People who don't even have success in real life, to be successful in marriage is almost unreal. You are just going to be putting each other into trouble. So marriage is for mature people who have really become mature personalities themselves. Once you have become grown up, you are no more about masses, but you have become a personality, and your partner is a personality too. Personalities is easier for them to know what they want and to attain goals and to pay the price. But other people live by instincts. If you just live by instincts, you'll be having a lot of disappointment, and you'll just be bouncing on each other. Yeah, but if you are a personality, then you can live a conscious life. Like Pastor Bose said, that in the beginning, maybe I was more conscious. But later on, she caught up, and then we were working on it together, both two conscious people. But one conscious person might not be enough to make a marriage successful. maybe for some time, but not for forever. It will be necessary for the two people to be aware and to be conscious of what they want. So it takes developed individuals, mature people, to have successful marriage.
Thank you. I think Kenny has a question.
Okay.
I'm precious also. Do you still have a question? It has been answered. And I think you have a question? Yes.
Please be right, so.
Thank you so much, sir, Emma, for this great opportunity. Like Maiwa would say, and Julie, I think I came from a more scattered home and a more prison. I really don't see that as family. If you have been privileged to listen to my life story on Facebook, it's just been God that has kept us, we the children. Our life has really been shattered. But
that's why I always say that some marriages is not just what, because they put a lot, it takes the grace of God for the children to be normal.
So I wanted to ask, like you said, it's had to be, the marriage is not a joke, it's not for kids. It has to take two matured minds. I asked myself, is it that my parents, had gone to marriage and then have this kind of results, and have bringing up a family? And when I look at the life of other people, okay, let me say from afar, some marriages you see that they look successful, they look beautiful, and you even wish to be like them. Wait until you get close, you will see that they are just a shadow of what you're thinking. Because I've seen some people back then in my church, outwardly they look beautiful, they look together, everything is working on fine. You feel like, oh, this is the best marriage you even wish for yourself as a young girl. But really coming close to them as persons, you just discover that this is all pretense outside, because it's in the church. So everybody cover up. There's this sweetheart thing, there's this love and this dog, and everybody is being carried along. And you are, as a single girl, you're sitting, or as a guy, you're just giving them thumbs up, saying, wow, what a sweet home. But right behind the scene, there is much more that you cannot imagine. So I got to love to observe, even though I ask questions as much as I can. But I tried to go closer to some families. I discovered that even with the wealth, there was still a lot missing in the family. And then I was looking for a perfect home. I said, Jesus, is it so impossible to get a really perfect home? Because my home was even much more worse than what I'm seeing. But coming to this place and trying to listen to Pastor talk about marriage, and I'm like, God, is it that people don't know these things, or they know it and they choose not to act it? They choose not to make marriage beautiful the way God has designed it to be. So I as you said, I just asked. I'm trying to, as you're talking, I'm trying to recollect. I'm trying to ask myself some questions. Is it that they are not matured enough to go into marriage, or something else? I don't know.
Of course, it is obvious. If you have listened to the series I did on marriage and on family, what men need to know before they marry and what women need to know before they marry. How many people do you know that know those things? Maybe less than 1% in the whole world. So, and how many people do you know, your parents, for example, before they marry, how many books did they read? How many preparations did they go through? I have over 200 hours of teaching just on this topic. So how many hours of teaching did they go through? Of course they didn't. Everybody just married because they are mature, or time has come, or they have emotions for each other. It's the instinct. Nobody prepares. It's not just in marriage, anything. If you want to go and produce this thing now, and you never prepared, you didn't get trained, you are not an you don't have electronic training, you don't know how to something, you will suffer. They says that the ways of the ignorant are hard, because it doesn't know the way. I mean, the life of the ignorant is hard because it doesn't know. Is it the life? So anything that somebody who is ignorant does, it will be hard. Either it is fixing this thing, if you don't know how to do it, it will be hard. If it is marriage, if you go into it with ignorance, it will be hard. If it is bearing children or raising children, if you didn't get prepared adequately, it will be hard. Anything you go into without adequate light and knowledge, you are in for trouble. Anything, not just marriage. And people don't go to school to go to marriage. They don't think there is preparation to have children. So that's why that kind of life is.
Okay. I want to ask, how can this thing be spread across to really learn from what you are teaching us? Because really some of these things are not taught in where I'm coming from. And a lot of people only give out what they've heard of what they've been taught. And we don't get to be taught the real thing, about life and marriage. So I don't know how it really can get across.
That is now a question to all of us. All of us have to spread the word. We all have to do that. Kenny, the last one, because of time.
Okay.
The last question.
Right here. My question is, it's not really about marriage. It's about basically at both relationship and marriage. I know I've been kind of studying the books and I definitely have like a long way to go to actually ask, are we supposed to just skip a step because there's like a relationship step before the marriage? Like, how are we supposed to know how to really be married, especially if you don't, like people that don't go into the topic or don't date? Like, are you supposed to date before marriage, or are you supposed to kind of fill out relationships? How would you know who you like or what you are in a relationship if you never date? You just going straight from being single for the rest of your whole life straight to marriage. That's kind of, and having a baby, that's kind of like a big jump, So I was wondering, is there like a middle stage to understand yourself and another person, or understand yourself in a relationship and how you are,
So can anybody open sexualy.com? I mean, that's official. No, sorry, YouTube. Yeah. Can anybody open the YouTube for me? So, first of all, dating might not solve the question. But what solves the problem is preparation. Preparation is the key. So I'm right now on sexualy.official.com. If you go to sexualy.official.com, you will see a whole series that will really get people prepared. For example, one of the series is called series number 17. It says, the right and wrong understanding of love. Can you imagine you just trying to date without having the right or wrong understanding of love, and you're trying to date? So you are already putting destruction ahead of you. So dating is trying to experiment. It's like saying you are going to operate somebody, you are going to do surgery upon somebody without going through classes, without attending medical school. So it's like without having the preparation, you just want to go and experiment. You don't experiment without the theory. You only experiment after the theory. So dating doesn't teach you what you need to know to get you prepared. Dating doesn't get you prepared. You get prepared before you even start dating. So that's just one series, series 17, the right and wrong understanding of love. Then we have series number 18, what a man must know before marriage. If you don't know these things, you are not a man. It doesn't matter if you are 40 years old or 30 years old. So if you don't know those things, it doesn't matter if you are sleeping and dating every day. If you've dated 10 women, 20 women, it doesn't matter. If you could date as many as you want, you could even marry, but you are still not a man if you don't know those things. You will still fail. You will still let your people down. You will let yourself down. You will let your wife down. You will let your children down. You will still fall face flat on the face. That is just series number. That's just second series. That's series 17, series 18. Then series 19 says what every lady must know before marriage. Now, it's not just enough for the lady to know. If I am a man, I would like to know what the lady must know too. So I know the two aspects. I know what I must know and what the ladies must know. So I know all the mentality and the mindset of the whole thing before I even begin to look for who to date. So I'm well prepared. That's just number 3. Then series number 20 says the difference between men and women. You don't want to go or move near a woman ever, to even try to date, if you already didn't know the difference between men and women. If you didn't know that and you try to date, you are just putting yourself into catastrophe. You are just going to stop a military tank with your bare arms. It's going to crush you. So that's what people have been doing. They just destroy each other's lives. So you want to know that before you even try to date anybody. Then the next one, series number 21. What is a man? And who is a man? You must know yourself. Know yourself, man. Know yourself before you even try to know another person. So that's just another series. So all this, then another one is what men expect from their wives. Then you want to know that definitely before you approach a lady. Then another series is how to raise up godly children. You also want to know that before you even begin to look on the side of a lady. Then how to become a hero to your children. You also want to know that before you even look on the side of a lady. So all those like 7 or whatever series that I just mentioned, you have to become an expert in them. Then when you go to try to look at somebody, you know exactly who you're, because you already know the nature of women and your own men. You know exactly who your person is.
So then you can skip
then
the
you
step.
no, you don't need to skip that. Then you go and talk to the person, or you go and just befriend and become the best friend. I mean, just being friends. Talk about these things. Let the person also go and listen. Grow together. Know each other's desires, likes and dislikes. Just be friends. That open to each other. Then in the process, you know better that this is the person this is just the person I must have. Then you go ahead and start a relationship of dating or engagement or whatever.
So basically narrowing it down to the T. Okay. That makes sense.
Okay. So I think our time is over. I don't know how many more minutes we left before the next program.
Wow, it's actually now.
Okay.
Oh, sorry, 8:30.
It's 20 minutes. 20 minutes to the next program. So see you guys in 20 minutes. I have a lot to do before that 20 minutes. So blessings. See you later. Princess. I want to say bye to people.
I'm saying bye to people. Thank you guys. It's been great having you here. Thank you for celebrating today with us. It's been a very pleasant moment and experience for us. And may God bless your home. May God bless your life. And may you become the person God has created you to be. It's been nice having you. Bye.
Okay.